Let me invite Aftab Sayed.
Okay, screen.
ताली नहीं बजाएंगे तो ये कुछ बताएंगे भी नहीं
Good
आपको।
morning.
सर जरा जोर से बोलिए गुड मॉर्निंग।
Good morning.
Here we go.
Am my mic working? That's more
Yes,
important.
yes.
When you'll go, then I'll have a problem.
Yes. So just, I'll not give you 10 lines because 10 lines will become big. In 2 lines, मैं इनके बारे में कुछ कहूँगा। शेर व शायरी में एक बात होती है कि बड़ी बात को छोटी सी अल्फाजों में कहा जा सकता है। यस और नो? और साइबर सिक्योरिटी के लिए अगर मैं कहूँ तो हम लोग सब एक लर्निंग कर्व में हैं। क्यों? वक्त लगता है सीखने में। डू यू एग्री? प्यार का पहला खत लिखने में वक्त तो लगता है। एग्रीड? और नए परिंदों को उड़ने में वक्त तो लगता है। सो हम सब नए परिंदे हैं। 10-12 साल पहले आफ्ताब साहब कोई सीसो नहीं होता था। एम आई राइट? आज सीसो भी आ गया है।
I was in college.
He was in college. तो जेंटलमैन, आफ्ताब साहब के बारे में इतनी सी बात कहूंगा कि he is a business leader with over 2 decades of experience dealing with customers in diverse industry levels. आफ्ताब साहब जो है हमारे is a passionate about building the business ground up from drawing board to all time high. He takes a special interest in helping customers in their growth journey by identifying and addressing their pain areas with the right business solutions. He has mentored and contributed to the various startups. This is very important. This is one thing, sir, I must congratulate you. You are mentoring the youngsters. That is very, very important. And the next speaker is, तालियां बजाएंगे तो आएंगे ना वो, गौतम सुंदराजन. Sorry.
Abhishek.
Yes, right.
Abhishek.
Gautam Sundarajan. Am I right? I spelled it right? Great. So may I have the second transparency, please? Gautam, अरे नहीं भाई इतनी जल्दी नहीं. Gautam is a vice president customer care Skybox security. आफ्ताब सर, मैंने आपके बारे में नहीं बताया कि आप presently क्या appointment tenant करते हैं.
That's all right.
नहीं बता दीजिए सर.
When I'm doing my presentation.
He will tell because he wants some mystery with him, right? So Gautam Sundarajan brings over 25 years of experience building and leading customer success teams to provide remarkable customer journeys. A trusted senior advisor and client advocate with Skybox since 2020. Gautam collaborates with senior customer stakeholders to define strategic enterprise technology solutions that propel revenue, reduce risk, increase efficiency, wow, and improve customer time to value. Great. We welcome you, guy. And next we go. Please don't mix him. He's not Gautam Adani. Okay? At times confusion happens. Right? So we have Abhishek. Abhishek, please, on stage. Abhishek is a senior manager of professional services, Skybox Security. He brings 18 years of experience in information and network security, having contributed to industry-leading organizations like SCL Comnet, ITC Infotech, Cognizant. Welcome to you all. And guys, I want you have to have a very, very good session and a good masterclass. All the very best to you. Please participate, ask difficult questions, and create knowledge, which I will use later on. Okay? Thank you very much. Over to you, Aftab
Thank you,
sir.
Devesh ji. Thank you so much. I have a mic. Thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Aftab Sayed. You have seen the slide, but more than anything else, people know me. Some of them who are already there smiling, thank you. Next session will have more smiles similarly. The intent is very simple. We will have 3 main broad categories in this presentation masterclass. Mine will be very simple. I'll just try to set the stage with some context. The next will be followed by Abhishek, and finally it will be Gautam who will be coming and letting everybody know how are we doing and how successful are our customers. That's very important. Ultimately, we all do this for you, for partners, for ecosystem. I will pick up my first slide. The subject is chaos to control. Chaos, everybody knows. Who was the most chaotic in their childhood? I was, so I'm raising the hand. Raise, yeah, loving it. Okay, there are more, no, all peaceful people. Okay. Then where does this control come, and who are the controllers? Starts from parents, they try to control something. Then the teachers, then our bosses, supervisors, regulators, auditors, government. What are we all trying to do? We are trying to control the chaos. But why are we controlling the chaos? We are trying to control the chaos. We want to spread some peace, some harmony, some specific situation where nobody needed to be worried about. Then my slide, Sanket, should have been chaos to peace rather than control. The entire in this entire chaos, who's trying to create a chaos is Sanket, who is our marketing head. He'll be here on the stage at the last. The intent of creating this chaos to control was that if a peace is already attained beyond tranquility, where nirvana is there, then there is nothing more to do in this industry. And that's where everybody's job is safe, right? We have problems, so we have people, we are trying to control things. Okay. As I said, mine will not be too technical. We see two slides. What are we seeing here? He was trying to create something on the wall, maybe a hanging something, trying to hit something on the wall, and then there was so much of chaos. It's very similar to any one of us who love cooking. We go enter in the kitchen and then there are 20 utensils after we have one omelette on the table. And the next chaos, everybody knows who's talking, whether it's maid or our partner. They say don't enter the kitchen. It happens because the intent is that we want to have hustled up to create something and then spread things around. He's an interesting character. This is fine, we see. If you see, his eyes talking something else, he's smiling, and hair has gone some electric shock. Both are chaotic. One is that we are seeing, and the other is something within, waiting to explode. In our industry, where we are, we see this more. Because everywhere this is not visible, because if this is visible, we know, okay, there are a few things to be controlled. But where we are not knowing things, and that's where the problem is. There are some more people who are trying to create control. This is a restaurant in Mumbai. Since they have not paid me for my advertisement, so I will not talk much about it, but I was going through a meeting and I saw this. It so coincidentally happened that I had to click this photograph. There are more people who's trying to have control in this chaotic situation. Okay, let's state on this. This photograph is a place called Punakha in Bhutan. So apart from my day job, I am also a rider. We just went on bike rides on some 4 people around, and we went to this place. This reminded me of the childhood book that we used to read, where Gautam Buddha and his Bodhi tree and tranquility and nirvana, right? Look at the peace here. That's everybody who wishes to. Then I was looking when I was preparing a presentation, I was looking into what exactly is chaos, and then something which interested me was free for all. When there is a chaos, after a while, we just leave it, okay? Whoever is coming, who is going, doing whatever, after a while, we don't even bother. And that's a bigger mess, it being created. Then the antonym says that is peace, harmony, clarity, same thing. Nirvana, we don't need anything, but we need a job. So probably chaos to control is better than peace. Peace will come over a period of time, but we don't see it happening. But the control is what we are more focusing, and this will be our major subject when we are going ahead in the presentation. Our colleagues will be talking how are we achieving. 2 more words which you notice. One is visibility and the other is automation. Visibility is always key. In cybersecurity, at least all these, while when I presented, I was talking the event, I was talking to the CISOs. The one thing which came out very clearly was that what do we want to protect? What do we want to control? And what do we want to see? The visibility of the assets. Today also, in most of the organization, when I go, I don't get a very clear answer. The CISOs, the CXOs, they really say that, yes, the first thing is that what do we want to protect? It's something like, you protect your assets, like women protect purses, men keep checking whether they have the wallet when they are going through the crowd. It's very simple. You want to see what you want to present. And this is one of the key aspects in most of these sessions that when we go and hear, it's all about assets. Are we really looking at all the assets in this hybrid network, which we are able to protect, we are able to see, create thought around it. And the second one is automation. It all started with an Excel sheet. Certain assets, certain 1,000 assets were scanned. It gave hundreds of vulnerability. It was in the Excel sheet. We could manually pinpoint, do some research. Okay, these are important, these are critical. Remediate it. Over a period of time, this started becoming huge, humongous, because the hybrid networks were increasing. We were getting lots of vulnerabilities, which we started looking into through some tools. Tool was doing a little better job than, of course, what Excel was doing. We were trying to identify which are those vulnerabilities which are today posing risk. Because it becomes mammoth to really look at all the vulnerabilities and get into a remediation process. Not possible. Then in this entire exercise, some more intelligence came into, some more scanners came into, the more threat intel, some plugins from showing some dark webs activity somewhere from information, which is practically very, very difficult to manage manually. Hence, this all tools started coming in place. After that, people started thinking that who will sit and do those millions of vulnerabilities? Even if this tool is there, you need a scanner. Then there were some things which were beyond our control, so started coming in automation. Automation is something, one of the important piece of our presentation when Abhishek and Gautam will talk of. When chaos comes, something comes in our mind is a butterfly effect. How many of you know butterfly effect? Okay, some. We have seen a lot of movies, if you remember. If you Google, you'll know that there are so many movies based on butterfly effect. It's very simple. There was an author, his name is Edward Lorenz. He was a professor of meteorology. Back in about 50 years back when he wrote this book, the imagination coming from that book was that a tiny flap of butterfly in Brazil can affect a tornado. Unimaginable. However, this captured so much that there were so many movies created around it. And those are those sci-fi movie, if you like. Please have a look, it's beautiful. Our grandpa, when they created this law of motion and the masters of transformation and philosophy, everything started seeming that virtually everything is possible through numbers, through analogy, and even the identification of a meteor or comets hitting on the earth to what precise time, sentences, everything was falling very, very clearly. It started coming so close that analytically can we solve everything. But again, this doesn't apply to human. This is interesting. As butterfly effect, we make some changes and we see results. Whether it is good, then we see good things. If it is not, we feel that, okay, things are not happening because we did something we didn't do good. Who all believe in karma? Okay, there are people, lovely, many. I'm liking it. I was introduced to the term very lately, but then I realized this is good. But then karma is more on interpersonal, individual basis, right? There's a cyber security event. Then why are we bringing karma? So then let me introduce you a little different thing. Okay? This is cyber karma, or a digital karma, or a technology karma, which I call techno karma. When I was talking to somebody, a CISO, I was telling him that, is it a cyber karma? He started laughing. He said, okay, where do you coin this term? I said, I was just looking at somewhere, I saw this, and it interested me. Fact is same. Just think about it. Large organizations, hybrid networks, so many assets, multiple, complex network securities, rules, option of having a lot of manual errors. One problem leads to the other. understand one thing, it's not that one error is going to result in one problem. And that's where I was talking about butterfly effect. One error, one small misconfiguration, it can just lead to potentially very, very harmful. Today, the CXOs are being responsible. Organizations' reputations are at stake when any of such thing happen, and it leads to a small incident like somebody clicked a document which carried some worms, spread, lateral movement, somebody forms a network to reach to the crown jewels, and that's the problem. So here onwards, we'll remember cyber karma. At least the hashtag will be there. Okay, coming back to business, there are a lot of things happening around, and especially if you see a lot of trends and predictions which will come forward. I have picked up a few important ones which obviously relates to the topic that we are talking about. There are a lot of spend happening in IT industry, and this grows. In spite of that, the decline we don't see in vulnerabilities or the threats, and that will still continue to grow. By 2026, 75% of the organization will exclude unmanaged legacy and cyber physical systems, which means there is a need to think through on platforms, the AIs, the automations, how are we talking? If it is unmanaged, it is out of the visibility, it is becoming very, very difficult to manage things. And that's how everybody is talking about the growth in the automation market. Skybox also has a very, very top priority on Skybox, on the automation piece. So this you will hear, I don't want to steal the thunder, but just setting up the stage that there's something which is coming forward to you by our colleagues. And to give you more heads up, you will hear something around these 6 phases of effective policy management. The first we'll talk about the single source of truth, which is a need of an hour, because there are so many platforms, so many ad hoc purchases which has happened, and everybody is creating a different issues in silo. Everybody talks of a problem which needs to be controlled under a platform, talked on a single truth. The second one will talk about how do we create the network topology which helps you. Third one will talk about how we avoid bloating system and unknown risks are taken care of. Fourth is almost like near zero touch. We don't say 100% there, but yeah, near zero, because we need analysis. Approach makes it more easier to add, modify, and delete rules that you do. And then there are workflows which requires to be identified and created. And then finally, we are talking about reducing the audit prep time. That's everybody's interest today. So I will not take more time, but thank you so much for being a lovely audience. Listen, you raised hand, you smiled as well. Thank you. Let me call my next presenter. His name is Abhishek, and he will take you through little more technicals and how we approach. So whatever I said was more to do with the business angle thought process and what we are talking of, trying to relate something which you can from your real life. But now what's coming is from a solution angle. Please pay attention. If there is anything, we will look for to answer towards the end of the session. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Aftab. Can I have the presentation? Can I have the? So these are some common challenges that we have heard from our friends in this cyber security organization. Like many customers faces this kind of challenges, right? The fear of one of their team member doing some configuration by mistake or with bad intention, right? That can impact like allowing any rule, right? And it's too late before it discover a damage. Or in some cases, like they have fear of getting failed in different kind of audit. They have fear of getting compliant with different kind of regulatories, right? That they need to comply with. So now we'll move on to the next, where how we can help these customers in using Skybox, right? So today we'll be talking about 4 different areas that Skybox can help. One is the data silos, how we can break the data silos, right? Then we talk about the compliance and this access automations, and at the end we'll talk about the change management process that can be automated using Skybox and how it can help to reduce these kind of challenges, right? So data silo, right? That's a very, sorry. Okay, data silo, this is very common, right? So we can't secure something which we don't see, right? Which we don't know. So the challenge is top management says like how the different part of the networks are connected. Like, if the firewall team is not talking about to the network team is managing on their own, firewall team is managing on their own, and cloud team is managing on their own. But they are all connected, right? It's a connected network. So there should be a visibility with all of them together, right? So that's where Skybox can help. So I'll go to the live demo now. Can you move to this? Okay, so this is a network map, right? A 2D representation of the entire network for our lab. Now, you can see a lot of points here. Some of them are network devices, some of them are firewalls. So if I zoom in, you'll be able to see like how different network devices are connected to each other. Like how my internal router is connected to other devices and different part of network, something like, here I have the cloud environment from Azure, right? Then I have some other cloud environment here. We can model all the on-prem and cloud networks into one platform, into Skybox. And this, from this model, we can get a lot of information. Something like if I click on this router, it shows me the properties, right? It shows me the asset information, like what this router is, what is the make, model, and even I can go and check the OS information. I can go and check the patches, vulnerabilities, routing, right? Different access rules, routing rule, interface configuration, all of that, right? So we can check all this data from one single tool about all our network devices, or be it on-prem or be it cloud. And then if I take you to the detail page of a firewall, okay. So again, it is the detail page where we'll be able to see more details, right? Where like all this. So that view was a kind of a summary. Now I can see the different routing rules that is present on this firewall. I can look into the different access rule, different interfaces that's configured on the firewall. So even we can run queries on this model. Like, so on this network diagram, we can run queries. We can ask this network model to answer like what kind of access we have within it. So if I check here, so if I put this as source, and then I go to another network and put this as destination, and if I analyze, so it's now analyzing, right? It's querying into the model, like from my finance workstation to DMZ, what kind of access is present, right? So okay, so it says full access, right? I can go into the detail. So it says only one accessible route is present between these two, source and destination. There are like 256 addresses which are there in the destination, and everything is allowed. So this is the power of this model, right? That we can run query from A to B, understand what different kind of access is present. Not only that, we can see the route as well, where, through which route the access is established. It's like from the finance firewall, it's going to the core, main, and production firewall, and then DMZ. We can not only see this route, even we can go and check the access rules which are allowing this traffic. So this kind of answer this model will be able to give. Then another interesting thing that many of us want to know is like from internet, what all kind of access we have throughout the organization. So I can just put internet as source, and then I can run the analysis. So what it will do, it will go and check, query the model. It will try to understand what all different kind of access is allowed from internet to different part of the network. And we got some results here. We got some networks which have partial access. We got some networks where we don't have any kind of access allowed. So if I expand further, if I go to, let's say, one of these development network, so it will show me how many different routes are available to reach to the development network from internet, which all addresses are accessible, and which all service ports are accessible from internet to this development network. We can go to the access details that will tell us from different source what all IPs will be reachable and which all service port will be reachable. Again, we can go and check the route, and we'll get to see the similar kind of result, that how the traffic is flowing from internet to this endpoint, right? So now I talk about the model. Now how we are building this model, how we are automating this model. So that's where I'll go to the tool's core engine, which is the task system in our tool. So we have different kind of tasks, right, that run in the back end that we schedule on a periodic basis to collect information from different data sources, to analyze them, to present them, generate report. So like over 100 of different type of tasks is present in the tool that is dedicatedly prepared for different kind of data sources. We rely on the respective data sources native management platform. For example, if we are collecting from Palo Alto, we'll be using REST API that Palo Alto provides to collect data. If we are using connecting to Cisco, we'll be connecting over SSH to collect the information. So we configure all these tasks, we schedule them periodically, we pull the updated data and merge into the model. The model is refreshed, model is updated. So every time we are running a query, it can present us a latest information. So what was allowed today, yesterday might not be allowed today, or what is restricted today might get allowed tomorrow. Now, when we get this kind of model built automatically once configured, then the part comes to the next part, which is how we can ensure compliance. So for that, we have 3 different compliance engine in Skybox, which is the configuration compliance, rule compliance, and access compliance. So I will take you through one of them. So here is the dashboard for config compliance, right? So after we collect all this data, we run the analysis using some library of regular expression. So we compare the raw configuration file of the data source, like of your firewall, of your network devices, router, load balancers. We compare it against a predefined regular expression library to understand if certain configuration is meeting the compliance regulatory or not. And then we present this kind of a dashboard where first we'll present a summarized view of compliance score, how much of the configurations are complied with the policy, how many are not, how many are critical and high failed, how many total failed, right? This is like a configuration by devices. Then there will be presenting top violator, right, who is presenting the maximum violation by device, below by policy, and so on. And this is interactive. We can simply click here and go and check the detail, like, okay, these are the failed one, so give me the list. And we can add filters, right? We can add filters for all the parameters available to find out exactly what's going on. How it works, it's checking the regular expression and try to understand what exactly, where exactly the violation is found. So if I check this one, it says enable password is not encrypted. So if I go and check, So it says enable password required. That was the policy. And in some password device, if it is not configured, it will show me the details. It will show me the check details. It will show me the status, where it failed, it's failed, when it was last derived as failed, and all the details around the config policies. Now this is the first engine, right, that's run based on regular expression. The second engine that we have is the rule compliance. So rule compliance is basically, again, a set of policies that are predefined from different industry best practices, different compliance regulatories, and we clubbed up them together and then build our own recommended standard for the rule policy, which we are analyzing against all the normalized rule set, right, to ensure the rules are like all secure rules. These have like less privileged rules. So for that, again, we are building a dashboard. We are building a report like which how many are violating rules are there, how many tests are passed, failed, who is top contributor, right? Who is the having which policy is having the maximum number of violations. So this kind of data we are bringing into table so that at any point of time we know what's exactly going on into the network, right? So now once we have this rule policy, all the rule violation details, how do we manage it, right? We have different options to manage it. We can automate it using our change management tool to disable those violating rules, or we, if those violating rules might require for specific exceptional business application. So in such case, we can create exception. We can create this exception for future records so that we don't need to check for this again and again. So how do I do that? So once I go to this detail, again I can click anywhere. It's like talking me about like the critical, high, medium, and low severity wise, what is the percentage. Now if I go anywhere, I'll get the number of rules. Those are critical. And from here itself, I'll be able to create exceptions, and we'll be able to generate tickets for remediating this rule. So if I go into any rule, so I can go to the rule violation details. Here it will tell me, okay, this rule is violating 4 different policies. This is violating ISO 27001 policy, it's violating Skybox standard V2, it's violating CIS, and there is another violation for V2. So what those severities are, right? And we can check the explanation as well, why this is violating. So all those information will be here, and from the rule menu, we'll be able to take action further, like whether we want to create an exception, or we want to create an clear this result, or we want to deactivate this rule. We can click on the deactivate rule, right? We can choose a workflow, which in Skybox Change Manager, which will come later. Put a description, and from here itself we can generate a ticket. It's a manual way. Then we have an automated way as well, how we can generate this kind of ticket, because we want to do more stuff automatically, so that we spend our time more focused areas, like not, because we know there are like violation and we have to remediate it. So there is no point reviewing it again and again. Rather, tools should automate it. Tools should give us a context where, okay, these are the violating rule. Let's focus on the remediation part. Let's get it reviewed by the respective admin, all right? So I'll go to the automation later, but I'm showing you the option. And if we need to record an exception, for any business need, if this rule is allowed, again from the same rule menu, I'll be able to generate an exception. Right? I can create an exception. I can record it. I can record it for a period of time, and we can add a comment, right? That okay, this is a specific business application need. That's why though it's violating our business policies, we need to have it. So this is how we'll be recording exception. So I'll go to the third engine, which is access compliance. So access compliance is interesting, right? So we have different policies. We are configuring different rule in firewall, but at the end, do we know like if the rule is doing what it's supposed to do? Like I'm allowing a service, but am I supposed to allow this service? Maybe I'm allowing a legitimate port, maybe I'm allowing, let's say, a secure port for communication, SSH. But am I allowing it for, let's say, outside to inside SSH? Is it a secure service? No, right? SSH might be secure service from my administrator to the DMZ servers, because they need to manage the servers. But is it remain secure if I allow it from internet to those same server again? The answer is no, right? So that's where we need to have different access policies, like PCI and NIST have recommended, right? And many other standards like HIPAA and ISO. All of them are recommending different kind of access policies. Now we can configure those access policies in Skybox. We can map the zone information that, like, between zone A to zone B, what kind of access should be there. And accordingly, the tool will analyze the rule base, right? So if I am saying, okay, from internet to DMZ, only SMTP and SSL access should be there, nothing else. Now if there is some other services are allowed, though it's not a very risky service, it's against the policy, right? It's violating the policy. So this section, like this engine of Skybox, which is access compliance, will help us to determine this kind of violations. So I'll take you to the policy first. So I'll take you the simple NIST policy first, right? So NIST standard, it talks about like 4 different kind of zone in the network: DMZ, external, internal, and partner. And it has some guidelines, what kind of access should be allowed between these zones. So what we do in Skybox, we create this kind of a table that will represent different zones and the access between these zones. And then we define some policies between these zones, like DMZ to DMZ, what kind of access should be allowed or restricted, or DMZ to internal and DMZ to inside, right? So once this policy is mapped, policy is configured, then we need to map this policy against the network. Like different network segment, we need to map them into a different kind of zone. So, and then the tool will run the analysis. It will find out the access, the same access analyzer, the same access query method that I showed initially. It will run queries. It will try to see if what kind of access are allowed between these 2 zones, and it will correlate with the policy to understand if it is violating or not. And accordingly, it will give us a compliance score. And how the compliance score will look like is, so again, we'll be able to share the result through a dashboard. It will give us like how many total number of violation checks are done, how many policies are being violated, and also between the zones, what is the level of compliance. Like in this example, you can see like DMZ to DMZ, it's 92% compliant, where DMZ to external, it is like 50% compliant, and so on. So this is how it will give us a complete view of the different access that is present in the network, their like compliance score, and also we can derive go detail section and understand the violating rule. We can go individual rules, like this partner to partner there should be no access, and then we can go there and then find out which all rules are allowing this kind of access, right? So the policy was partner to partner, there should be no access allowed. But then when we go into detail, we found between these 2 partner zone, there is access allowed, and this is allowed through this, on this firewall, which is like main firewall, and this is the rule number, which is ordinal 24, which is allowing any causing an violation on this partner to partner access rule. So now I was talking about automation and how we can automate these results into a ticket. So we have automation policies. So these policies are again can be created for 2 different cases. One is like based on compliance violation and based on optimization. So we talk about compliance today, but then tool can do optimization analysis as well, right? If the firewall rule base is used regularly, not reused, unused for a period of time, and according to that, we can create automated policy. That policies will have some criteria defined. So if I go to the, let's say this policy itself. So here, we said the filters, right? We have the filter where basically we are setting the criteria. Like, okay, if it is not an implied rule, if the rule doesn't have a ticket open, and the last 90 days the rule is unused, let's create a ticket to deactivate this rule, to disable this rule, and we assign to an owner what should be the priority of this rule, right? What should be the description of this ticket, and the ticket will be created into Skybox change manager module, which will be now assigned to the respective owner to take necessary action. So this will be done automatically. This will run. These policies will run periodically. Once the analytics are done, completed, then the policy will come into picture. It will trigger. It will find the violating rules or whatever rules are matching this criteria. It will generate the ticket. So now the action on the change manager. So that's where we'll now move to the change management module of Skybox. Then once these kind of tickets are being created, how the change management flow is automated. Okay, so change management, again, what we have seen, it's a lengthy process in many organizations. It's many times we have seen after the change is implemented, it has to roll back because it's created some kind of policy violation. And so what if we can determine all this kind of policy violation, all this kind of risk that the change is bringing into the environment before it actually implemented. So using the model that we built initially, using the capability of access queries that the model can answer, we actually can go ahead and correlate all these information in the Skybox change manager and present it well in advance before the change is implemented. Now we have we can configure the change manager in different phases, and I'll take you a sample change. Sorry, this is. So let's say this one. Oh. I'll clone this because it's already completed. So now you can see there are 5 different phases, from request, then technical details, then risk assessment, then implementation, and then finally verification. So what Skybox can do in these different phases, we run different kind of analytics and present results. So we'll talk about a very simple change, which is very common, that an end user is requested from source to destination, because we don't expect that end user knows from source to destination which all routers are there, which all firewalls are there in between. So they only know about their own IPs, their own desktop, source system, and the destination network, destination server, application, whatever they want to access. Now, if this data is fed in the request phase and proceeds, and if they save it, you can see here, so here you can see it's calculating. So when it's calculating, it's doing nothing but running that same query that I shown earlier, right? This from the source network to the destination network, if there is a path available, if there is routers in between, if the requested services are allowed or not, and then accordingly it gives us a result like it says the change required yes. And then if I promote it to the next level, So this is the technical details page, which is not supposed to be with the same user, rather it's supposed to be with the network engineering team, right, who should review like whatever the request is coming from, and whether it is possible to implement, not possible, we have a necessary route, yes, no, and accordingly they will rate this or change it based on their way how they want to implement it. Now, once Skybox analyze the change, it derived into two different changes, right, on two different firewalls, the prod firewalls and the finance firewall. Why? Because from the source to destination, so from the source to destination, like there are like two firewalls are present, and out of which one doesn't need an access because it's already allowed, and the other one need a change. And what kind of change it is required, that we'll be able to see is the add rule, right? On the prod firewall, the access from source to destination is already allowed, and the finance firewall, it is not. So we need to and then if we promote it further, then it comes to the risk management, right? So this phase should be there with the risk management team. So we can see what kind of risk is associated with the requested change. It's loading. Okay, time? Huh. Okay, sure. So this is the section where basically it will check with all the compliance that is configured, and it will identify the risk. If this change is bringing any kind of compliance violation or any kind of let's say it will open any kind of vulnerabilities, allow exposure to the source network, right? So those kind of analytics will be presented here in the risk management section. And then we go to the next page, which is the implementation section. In implementation section, we have different kind of implementation option. Once the changes are derived, it will tell us what all changes need to be implemented. Do I need to create a new object? Do I need to add a new rule? Do I need to modify an existing rule? And we can automate those changes as well. We can automate the changes to the respective management platform. We can automate the changes to the end gateways, or we can implement those changes manually and mark them as implemented here in Skybox. And then the last phase is verification, where once the change is implemented, Skybox will correlate the changes that those are derived from the configuration after analyzing periodical data, and it will correlate the change with the change ticket and the changes those are derived in the change analytics section, and then it will mark the changes whether it is verified, not verified. So the governance body can only look into the changes which are not verified, right? So that they can take an action, okay, why certain changes are there which doesn't have a legitimate change request in place, which doesn't have an approved change request in place. And that's how it can control all the changes in the environment. It can ensure that the changes are implemented with a secure process, right? So that's about the automation part of the whole, all these 4 sections. So we'll be able to break the data silos by building this model. We'll be able to run different kind of compliance using our 3 different compliance engine, and then finally we can automate all these compliance through the change management process through the change management automation. Not only that, we'll be able to implement the changes automatically through the tool. So we have an option if there is a request which doesn't have any kind of policy violation, any kind of risk associated to it, from the request till implementation can be done automatically without any intervention. So we can skip the relevant phases if there is no risk associated to it. So with that note, I'll end my presentation here, the demo. I'll move on to Gautam for the further section, the success stories that our customer have so far with our tool. So Gautam, over to you.
Oh, I have the thing. Oh, this is the clicker, okay. Can everybody hear me? No? Yeah, okay, all right, cool. So thanks, Abhishek. So I'm going to wrap up the presentation now with some real life success stories that we've implemented. So my team, I run the customer care organization for Skybox. So we own professional services, success, and support, as well as training. So I thought it'd be interesting to present to you all, how some of the use cases that Abhishek was discussing around reduction of manual work, removing the chaos, reducing costs, and improving automation, how we've actually helped real-life customers achieve these goals. So firstly, a little bit about Skybox. We're about 22 years old now. We have 500 plus customers globally, and our customers range from MSMEs to large Fortune 50 type companies in all verticals. So we're not focused on any one vertical as being in the cybersecurity industry space. Most of our customers are very complex problems that we help them with. And very large environments. So, yep. So what we've done is we've brought up a couple of initiatives that we see a lot of our customers deal with, and we've given case studies that correspond to each of those. So we're going to start off with cloud migration and management. So as we know, many companies these days are moving their network firewall infrastructure to the cloud. So as part of these moves, the companies are interested in getting a complete visibility to their hybrid environment. They want to extend security and audit processes to cover both types of infrastructure, and they want to manage exposure proactively throughout this transition, and then of course reduce cost as they're transitioning their environments. So we have an example of an insurance company where we helped, where the company had several challenges. They were moving in a phased manner to the cloud. They needed help managing connectivity between their data centers and their cloud environments. And they also wanted to increase the agility of changes to their firewalls from review to implementation. So what we did was we deployed a lot of the modules that Abhishek just showed you in terms of our firewall assurance, network assurance, and change manager modules. We modeled their hybrid environment and had a complete view of their topology across the cloud and on-prem. We're currently managing over 250 firewalls, both on-prem and in the cloud, as well as 750 network devices. In addition, we also integrated our change manager module with their corporate ticketing system, which ended up resulting in their having full visibility over their hybrid attack surface. They have a single source of truth for both their network and security teams. We helped them automate their change management lifecycle, and we also minimized human error risk through this automation. Another area we frequently see customers needing help with a solution is around where mergers and acquisitions happen. So again, companies are looking to, for a faster integration to help integrate their operational as well as infrastructure, and they also want to reduce risk as they're doing this and do it fast. We have an example here in the banking industry, a very large bank with different security and risk management organizations kind of managing their real estate. New risks were being introduced as part of the merger, and then they were really looking to help confirm and secure their new expanded perimeter. So again, we implemented our key modules, the firewall assurance, network assurance, and the change manager. We helped them with a complete audit of their business critical IT infrastructure. We also helped the smooth and timely merger of both the complex networks with minimal risk, and thereby helping them minimize operational risks. In addition to this, recently we helped round up the solution with building an integration into their ServiceNow ITSM system to help with automation of firewall changes and policy violations. So as a result of this engagement, we were able to help reduce misconfiguration risks. We've estimated an ROI of $2 billion in risk reductions. And most recently with the zero-touch automation, the feedback we received from the bank is in the first 3 months post-go-live, they've realized about 171 man days, or about $62,000 in savings in terms of reduction in manual work. And another area in terms of what customers are looking for is helping build digital resilience. For this, they need complete infrastructure visibility, helping to adopt proactive and mature processes, and insights into their risks and exposure. So we have a retail customer where we've implemented this, where they have their administrative tasks were devolved to localized teams. They had constant demand for access changes and no overall visibility of their real estate. So we deployed our firewall assurance module to cover 4,000 networks and 30,000 firewall rules. We helped them manage firewall access and optimize performance and maintain their cyber hygiene. We also used our APIs to integrate with their in-house change management system, which then resulted in them having a single source of truth for all their firewall changes, ensuring access, compliance, and access was correct, and also helping in maintaining effective zoning policies in terms of internal moves. Should an attacker breach their boundary. And then moving on, many of our customers have both IT and OT environments, and they're looking for a platform that straddles across both these types of networks. And basically they want to have visibility across, they want to be able to have risk assessment across these networks. They want assistance with remediation as well as with exposure analysis. So we have a utilities company, a very large utilities company in Europe, where we helped them model their OT network. We deployed our firewall assurance and network assurance to help import and model some of their specialized industrial control switches. And then we also helped them inspect their rules to help violate traffic that should not be flowing. And so we helped, from a benefit perspective, we helped eliminate potential blind spots, enforce good firewall hygiene, and we showed them how we can help them demonstrate actual versus a theoretical level of network access control. Moving on, audit and compliance. So I think a lot of companies realize the need for a tool to help them with this, especially when they fail an audit. So basically, so we have with our security posture management solution, we helped a large GSI based out of India with 1,200 plus firewalls. They weren't sure about meeting their compliance deadlines to their board. A lot of manual firewall processes resulting in a lot of mistakes. So we implemented our compliance engine that Abhishek showed you earlier. We also helped them with some customized solutions because they have a huge volume of exceptions that we needed to help manage. So we use some of our APIs to help extend our platform there. And then we also help them keep their network devices compliant with the business need for internal and external audits. So now they confidently approach their compliance audits. They have a full visibility to their environment. And we're used every month to report up to their board in terms of their compliance to different policies and procedures that they're subject to. And then last but not least, wanted to call attention to automated change management, which kind of brings all of our solution together. We do enable our customers to seamlessly integrate their ITSMs with our platform, which helps improve the firewall change process and enables zero-touch automation, which is what a lot of our customers ask for. This then reduces manual efforts and reduces misconfiguration and the like. So a good example we have here is a large FMCG global company, which is very international. It was taking them, 3-4 weeks to make firewall changes. And they had very limited automation when they initially implemented our change management module. But then they worked with us to add on our change manager integration to their ITSM, which is ServiceNow. And we helped make about 60% plus of their requests processed through our platform. And we reduced processing time to 4 to 7 days from over 4 weeks. So with the result there, they have all the benefits of reduced manual work, improved automation, and cost savings. So moving, so that was sort of a brief intro into some of our success stories that we've had. We also participate in Gartner's Peer Insights program, which is it's a great view into vendor performance, and is obviously a global platform that encourage you guys to look into. But we have a couple of the blurbs that we've received from some of our customers listed here. I'm not going to read it because it's kind of too small here and for me to see from here. But you get the idea on what some of our customers are saying about us. And then lastly, we'll be at the expo tomorrow. Our booth is number 2. And feel free to scan this to win some exciting prizes. So that was it for me. I think, Aftab, do you want to finish up with anything else? So,
thanks, Gautam.
Yep,
it was good.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. We are happy that you paid some attention. I hope it was meaningful. If there is any question, we are definitely there all the 3 days. Please feel free, have a discussion, and we will welcome every lady and gentleman in this room. There are a lot of things to talk on, but of course, everything cannot be done here. We have tried to showcase it's a very, very deep solution, whatever demo Abhishek could in a small time. And we didn't want to kind of bore you and make you sleep, but then whatever we have given is a very, very high level snapshots. If there is a requirement, we can come and have a deep discussion. There are many more platforms that we serve in. But for now, certainly thank you so much for your time, and a big round of applause to you.